and you may actually think
you
that.
will feel it.
Okay, but if you have empathy, you're on there helping the person push their car out of the mud.
Because they've been in a similar situation, or they
And you
can understand the
understand.
frustration of,
I am
okay,
we are together.
right, yeah.
You're journeying with that person in their experience, and so when somebody, for example, dies, and there's a family, and let's say the preacher comes over. Well, the preacher, a 26-year-old or 25-year-old preacher, of which I was at one time, it was really long time ago. It was very hard for me to empathize because I hadn't had a lot of loss.
Right. That's a big piece of it.
But when a whole bunch of people started dying in my family, I started understanding. So if it wasn't just the nice words that I said, it was I could actually authentically grieve with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I'll make a bold statement. I mean, this is why one of the I think we have to be honest about what our ability is. Such as the one thing that I really feel like you can't understand if you haven't experienced it, and I know it's going to be upsetting to a lot of people, but if you're not a parent, it's really hard to be able to empathize with that. You know, I would not want to meet with a therapist for myself unless they had that experience, honestly. Because
we've talked about
Victoria
this.
and I have talked about it because it's just such a core thing in my life that I don't believe you can really empathize with me, which is such a key part of talking to you. Now, I may be mistaken about that. That may not be a fair statement. You could probably pick me apart for that, but that is the way that I feel and the way I see it. And so somebody may feel that way, which is why in our therapy world, it is very okay to make those statements and if you have those concerns.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but we work hard to be able to create empathy, as you say, John. So
and we also do those things or create opportunities for that, like through continuing education and things like that. So we become more knowledgeable about it so that we can be a little bit more empathetic towards experiences that we maybe not have directly experienced in our life, but maybe something that our clients have experienced that we'll be able to like relate to them on.
Yeah.
Or have that understanding.
Just saying this is dangerous because you might feel like you're the only person that has this experience. And honestly, I pointed out one with being a parent or not being a parent. There are very few things that you can't get to a place of empathy with.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I think that people oftentimes feeling alone feel like other people cannot understand them. And I'm suggesting very much that they absolutely can.
Right.
John, am I on dangerous ground? What are you thinking? I'm curious about your tap in your mind.
No, I don't think you're on dangerous ground at all.
Yeah.
So
the whole parent thing.
The whole parent thing, yeah.
What?
Go ahead.
Okay, we've talked about this as far as like race.
Well, a lot of things, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that like, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. I think you're fine with saying that because I think people do have, whether it's race, whether it's parenthood, whether it's other like life experiences, then I think like, yeah, especially in therapy, or like specifically, like I could see how you would be apprehensive about like your therapist having empathy towards, you know,
the issues of raising a child.
Yeah. Or even anything. Like if I have a black woman that comes into my office, yes, we're both women, but like my life experiences are probably quite different than hers. Sure. Maybe.
Yeah, and I think the assurance
I think there can be, even with that, you know, is this therapist going to really be able to understand the things that I've gone through in my life or the things that I experience on a day-to-day basis and
so
the
thing that I want to really maybe highlight it and maybe we'll move on is, you know, there's a lot of work that goes into being able to do that. I mean, all of the theories we talked about, modalities for recently, John, you're talking about a new one that we didn't even talk about during that show. You know, the experience, the trainings, the CEUs that you talked about, the ongoing research that we have. Like, we put a lot of effort into being able to put ourselves in other people's shoes, even me as a man understanding, you know, women's issues. I just had an involved conversation this afternoon that sort of broke my heart with a woman parts thing that somebody's struggling with. And I was able to really be there with them. So
Good.
there's a lot that goes into this, and you too, if you become purposeful, can put effort into
Again,
this.
it's
Mhm.
purposeful
Right.
and intentionality, and it's willing to allow yourself to go places that that you might
Be
have some,
uncomfortable.
yeah, be uncomfortable. Yeah, go outside your comfort level
Yeah. To be with the person you're
to be
relating
with
to.
the person. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get into some factors. This is some good stuff, man. We should have. This is a longer conversation than I thought
It
that we
is.
might have. Yeah, because honestly, even as I'm talking about it, it's kind of like there's a lot that goes into this whole idea that we live with constantly, right? So I thought this was interesting insofar as factors. This is what caught me with that article. Again, I think I'm just going to quote it. America is a country in deep pain. I thought, okay, well, that's interesting. That's what caught my eye. The coronavirus pandemic, racial injustice, economic insecurity, political polarization, misinformation, and general daily uncertainty dominate our lives to the point that many people are barely able to cope. And I think that's egocentric for us to think that's just in America, because I see that
Oh,
All over,
listeners all
yeah.
around the world are talking about and experiencing all sorts of despair and distress.